Today's show is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Don't let others track what you do. Anonymize yourself at expressvpn.com/inside.
Amir, give me an anonymous mask to start
The Daily. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Inside Gaming Daily for Monday.
Let's clap it up for Amazon, the latest tech giant to get into video games.
Just like Google, Amazon has been having a little bit of trouble breaking into the industry. They recently announced their cloud streaming service, Luna. Like Stadia and xCloud, it's an attempt to stream games to any number of devices. What could go wrong? Nothing.
But Amazon has also been making video games, courtesy of a number of studios it started up under its Amazon Games label.
It has not gone well, hence this episode you're watching, and recently Amazon announced that it is shutting down its very first attempt at a AAA game. Oh no, not the Grand Tour tie-in game, unless it's something else that's actually a game.
Right, cue the comments. Actually, Grand Tour was kind of a AAA game.
Yeah,
But whatever, y'all know what
please correct us in the comments. We love it and we read them and
Yes.
we take them all very
I take
seriously.
them to heart, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yes, this video, as you might have guessed from the title, is a big RIP to the free-to-play shooter Crucible 2020 to 2020. And you're like, yeah, they announced that Friday. Yeah, well, guess what? We were off this weekend, so we're covering it today.
You might remember that the team-based game was announced back in 2016. It released in May, but was a disaster. It was a mix of a number of different genres: MOBA, Battle Royale, Hero Shooter. Unfortunately, it didn't succeed in any of them.
Yeah, it felt like a design by executive committee, by a bunch of guys who wear expensive jeans to the office.
It's like,
Honestly, it's
yeah.
Amazon. It was probably designed by an AI. From
Yeah,
concept
totally.
to execution, it was just like they punched in how to make good game and
make a video game. But I don't understand.
Yeah.
So many good versions of these exist.
Make a video game.
The game got a paltry 56 on Metacritic, with IGN calling it tedious and a slog. PC Gamer called it not worth the wait.
Sounds like me losing my virginity. Weirdly, though, a lot of people noticed that at the time the game just seemed to release out of the blue. There was no big marketing push, which is weird. Like, I feel like they could have paid streamers. You know, I'm sure you could have gotten Ninja or somebody, Dr. Disrespect. They just sort of released it. Given their deep pockets, you would think they could have made a bigger splash. It was their first AAA game. But no, they didn't. I assume they knew something we didn't.
They knew it was bad.
Yeah.
They already
Yeah,
knew it was
probably.
bad, and they were
Movie
like,
studios will do that. They'll release a stinker like in the off, it's sort of the off months.
So basically, it was a disaster from the get-go. In response, Amazon made the unusual decision to take the game back into beta in order to polish it, cut out things that didn't work. It happens occasionally. It's not unheard of. But that beta flopped as well, because Amazon announced that they are pulling the plug on Crucible entirely.
Yes, in a blog post, they broke the news saying that after they moved the game back into closed beta, they'd made a list of features that they thought would enhance the player experience.
Like fun and playability.
Yeah, it turns out those are not that easy.
They apparently completed and shipped those features and then said that their next step was to evaluate the feedback we've heard from you, paired with the data we've collected to determine our path forward. Whenever a corporation uses the phrase path forward, it's done. It's over.
It's over.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
means there's no path forward.
Yes.
have you guys been in this situation where you're like cooking or baking and you realize you f***ed it up and you're like, maybe I can add in garlic powder or chocolate? You just gotta toss the whole thing and call up Giovanni's and get a whole pie.
Oh!
I got a breadstick, I got a carbonara.
There's a meatball sub with a cannoli on the side, eh?
There's hair in the sauce.
Oh! So yeah, after doing that evaluation, they decided to stop development on the game entirely. They wrote, "We very much appreciate the way that our fans have rallied around our efforts, and we've loved seeing your responses to the changes we've made over the last few months. But ultimately, we didn't see a healthy, sustainable future ahead of Crucible."
We'll talk about their plans to wind down Crucible, but first, let's talk about a really important question. What should you wear while you're working from home? Don't look like this. Don't look like a slob. Today's video is brought to you by Cuts Clothing.
Today's episode of Inside Gaming Daily is brought to you by Cuts Clothing. For better or worse, 2020 has kicked off the work from home era. And everyone is asking a big question: what are we supposed to wear? Do I need to wear a tie in my Zoom meeting? Certainly not at this job. But sweatpants and like a gym tee aren't really, that feels a little wrong if you're in a Zoom meeting. with your boss or whatever, yeah, maybe not the best look. Cuts Clothing is the perfect solution to your work from home wardrobe confusion. It's the best in the world at making technical apparel for the sport of business. Ooh. Their t-shirts, polos, and hoodies have enough quality and style to wear in the office, on a date, anywhere in between, so you don't have to choose between a classic look and a modern feel. They sent a bunch of shirts to our office, and they are extremely comfortable. I actually went back to work during the quarantine. I had to go through a whole process, but I wanted to pick up some more because they are really soft, really comfortable. They're very light as well. That's why GQ calls it the only shirt worth wearing. It's got an athletic, tailored looking fit. Their custom engineered, wrinkle-free Pika, P-Y-C-A, Pro Fabric can only be described as buttery soft. Today, you can get 15% off your first order by going to cutsclothing.com/inside. That is cutsclothing.com/inside for 15% off the only shirt worth wearing. Thank you, Cuts, for sponsoring today's show.
Okay, back to Crucible. Amazon said that they're offering full refunds for any purchases made. Oh, good guy Amazon. Looking out for the little man.
They said that in the next few weeks, they're going to host a final playtest and community celebration. Weird celebration, a going out of business celebration.
After that, they'll disable matchmaking, but you'll still be able to play Crucible through the custom games feature. So servers will stay up for custom games until November 9th, and after that, the game will be officially dead.
Oh.
So they're going to weekend at Bernie's it for a little while, for like another month, and then it's gone.
As for the game's development team, they said they're going to be transitioning to work on New World, the MMO that Amazon is developing. New World was supposed to release this year, but it's been delayed until the spring of 2021.
The Crucible team also said they will be working on other upcoming projects from Amazon Games. As for Crucible, pretty ignominious ending to a game that Amazon had clearly put years into, not to mention, money, resources, all that, and now it's gone.
I'm a little worried that ignominious, that our audience and myself aren't going to know what that means.
Stop trying to relate to the audience. You're not stupid.
Don't hide behind our audience.
I'm getting older. I'm 32 now. I have to do something.
Oh, Jesus
I have to
Christ.
do something to stay f***ing hip. Look what happened to you, Brian. You're a mess. I can't go down that road.
You just have to own it.
I have to be cool.
I'm gonna be a teen again. I'm gonna regress.
Desperately clinging on to the last bits of my youth. I gotta have it here. I have a hat. Does this help?
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
Is this somebody you would watch on TikTok?
You look like you're about to sell me weed.
I guess that's good, right? That's a youthful thing to do.
You look like you still listen to Limp Bizkit.
Just one of those days.
You look like you've been told not to walk up to the McDonald's drive-thru, but yet you persist.
I have had to be told that before.
It was also yet another lesson that making video games is hard. It's a tough business, and there's a lot of competition out there, and even good games can flop, especially unoriginal ones that are lifting off more successful games.
18 more successful games that they just put in a blender.
Games that are still in their prime.
Not that Crucible was a good game. It wasn't. It did have its defenders, but mostly it felt like a game that, at best, people would say it had potential that it failed to live up to. I feel like that's the best you could say. That there's a good game somewhere in there. It was one of those games that people talk about. Analyst Daniel Ahmad said that Crucible's failure further showcases just how difficult it can be to create a hit in the video game market, even with the backing of one of the largest companies in the world.
Yeah, it's led some to wonder if Amazon will have the stomach to keep plugging away at video games. Honestly, people are wondering the same thing about Google, because Stadia has not set the world on fire.
As VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb pointed out last month, making games is so much harder than almost any other entertainment business that Amazon or Google are in. It takes thousands of people to make one game. Amazon's other software products each require a fraction of that. They will ask why they're in this business in a few years.
But yeah, even veteran companies like Nintendo have made big whiffs. The Wii U a few years ago was an epic disaster. People were wondering if Nintendo was done after that. They bounced back, but I mean, they've been making video games for decades and still screwed it up. Amazon and Google, they're newcomers, but yeah, the competition is huge right now.
Back in the day, you used to have PC and then 3 consoles, but now you've got mobile as well as a bunch of cloud streaming services.
Soldier Boy threw his hat in the ring, yeah.
Crucible probably always faced an uphill battle considering how crowded the free-to-play shooter space is. Gamers can be fickle to begin with, and there's nothing easier than moving on from a game that you haven't spent any money on. Of course, Amazon has deep pockets, and it's not like one flop is going to hurt them as a company, and they could always rebound with New World.
But it's also possible Amazon could get get tired of throwing good money after bad. I mean, unless they're Star Citizen and they just want to keep it going forever. But at some point, yeah, they might decide to get out because they're Amazon. They have their fingers in a lot of pies. It's also not the first time Amazon has canceled a game either. Do you remember Breakaway? No, because it was terrible, but it was a team-based multiplayer brawler. Amazon announced it at TwitchCon in 2016, and just a couple years later, it was done, dead. They pulled the plug.
And last year, Amazon announced that it laid off dozens of game devs across Amazon Game Studios as part of what it called a reorganization. So it's had a bumpy ride in the gaming business, to say the least.
Then again, it's still really early in the game for them. No pun intended. I think it was a little intended, Brian. Anyway, Luna is set to come out, and Amazon's got the money to stick with gaming for the long haul.
Yeah, the question for Amazon, and really Google too, is, and we've talked about this before, but do they have the patience to stick it out? Games take a long time to develop. Returns never a guaranteed thing. It's a hit business. Amazon and Google, I feel like they're used to being big fish in a small pond, but when it comes to video games, they're not. They're a couple of little fish in a big old ocean full of fish, and I think this is a new spot for them.
You don't need any more money.
Right.
You own the concept of retail.
Go shoot more rockets into space or something.
Jeff Bezos put on his best vest and beat the shit out of Tim Cook.
Yeah, probably.
Bezos is jacked.
Brutal, dude.
He's billionaire jacked.
He just stuck his head in Tim Cook's mouth. So when it comes to Luna, Amazon found a workaround by using a browser-based program that acts like a native iOS app. You'll be able to download it